Good morning students. Welcome to 5th session of 3rd chapter, that is demand. In today's session we will discuss very important topic, that is elasticity of demand. Of course this is important, like 5 marks big question, and along with diagrams you are supposed to explain, like in this chapter, that is price elasticity of demand. Now question arises, what is elasticity of demand? This elasticity of demand, that is the extent to which demand responds to changes in any its determinants or factors like price, income, taste and preference, etc. That is called elasticity of demand. Now this elasticity we can divide in different types. In that, first is, that is price elasticity of demand. Now this price elasticity of demand, that shows the proportion to which demand changes with a change in price. Because of change in the price only, forget about other factors, that we will do in next session. Here we will concentrate only price only. So because of change in the price, what changes comes in demand, that we can see in price elasticity of demand. See, when law of demand is there, in that of course price increase, demand decreases, or price decreases, demand increases, and of course condition is there, that is other factors remain constant in that case. But in what proportion or up to what extent, because of change in the price, what effect comes on demand, that we cannot see. So in this price elasticity of demand, we can come to know that in what proportion price increase or decrease, and because of that what demand increases or decreases, that we can measure with the help of price elasticity of demand. Now formula for this price elasticity of demand is, that is percentage change in demand for X commodity upon percentage change in price of that X commodity only. Now here if I take the example of this only, that suppose if there is decrease in the price, that is 1%, and because of there is decrease, so obviously this value will be in minus. Now percentage change in demand, that say example, because of there is decrease in the price, so obviously demand increases, so it will be positive. Say example it is 5%. So this 5 divided by 1 of course will be 5, but it will be minus, but this will never in minus, because always we write in the form of modulus, which you people know, that negative value will be converted into positive form. So here you can say that because of there is decrease in the price, that is 1%, there is increase in the demand, that is 5%. So this 5, that is the price elasticity of demand. Now in this only, degrees of these price elasticity of demand, those are these 5 degrees. Number 1, perfectly elastic demand, which we show it where elasticity, this is P belongs to price elasticity, that is infinite. Second, perfectly inelastic demand, where price elasticity is 0. Third is unitary elastic demand, where price elasticity is always 1, while relatively elastic demand, where price elasticity is greater than 1, and finally relatively inelastic demand, where price elasticity of demand is less than 1. So these are the 5 types of degrees of this price elasticity of demand, which we will discuss one after the other. First type, that is perfectly elastic demand, which is infinite. Now what is that? When there is an infinite change in the demand for commodity T because of a negligible change in price, which may be as low as 0, then such a demand is called perfectly elastic demand. Here you can say there is increase or decrease in the price, that is simply I say 0% or 0.5%, but because of which this increase in demand, that is infinite. We cannot say up to what extent demand reaches. That is known as perfectly elastic demand. So here, when you divide this infinite to any number, it comes infinite only. That shows what? That because of little change in the price, either increase or decrease, but infinite change is there in the demand, that is known as perfectly elastic demand. Let me tell you, this type of perfectly elastic demand you don't find practically in the market. But theoretical point of view, we should know what is perfectly elastic demand. Now this only we show it here on the diagram. Here you can see on x-axis demand I have taken, and on y-axis price of the commodity I have taken. Now here, because of little change in the price, but this demand of this commodity, that goes infinite. We can show it this demand. See, from here it starts 0, 1, 2, 3, endless, infinite. Up to what extent? That is why this perfectly elastic demand curve, we get horizontal straight line parallel to x-axis, endless. Up to what? So remember, this perfectly elastic demand, that is always horizontal and parallel to x-axis only. So here we give the name, that is DD, which is perfectly elastic demand. Next, that is perfectly inelastic demand, where this price elasticity of demand, that is 0. Now what is that? When price of a commodity, say commodity K, changes by any amount, say 10%, but there is no change in the demand of that commodity, then such it is known as perfectly inelastic demand. So here I can show you that, as just now we said, that proportionate change in the price, say it is 10%, okay, but what change comes in the demand, that is 0%, no change, that remains fixed. That is known as perfectly inelastic demand, and obviously 0% divided by 10, we get 0 only. Now this only we show it on the diagram. Here you can see that price, whatever price it is, see here demand, that is constant, that is D. Here I have taken, and again it will be parallel to y-axis and of course vertical. Why? Because here price, there is increase in 10%, 5%, 10%, 15%, but this demand, that remain constant here only. Price कितनी भी हो, 5% increase है, 10%, 20%, but this demand remain same, which I have shown here, DD curve. So this is what? Perfectly inelastic demand. So it is always what? Parallel to y-axis. Like perfectly elastic, it is parallel to x-axis and horizontal straight line, and this perfectly inelastic demand, it is always vertical straight line and parallel to y-axis. Now third type, unitary elastic demand, where price elasticity it is always equal to 1. Now what is that? When the percentage change in demand is proportionate to percentage change in price, same proportion. Say example, here if 5% there is decrease in the price, so 5% there is increase in the demand, same proportion, then that is known as unitary elastic demand. Of course, when divide this, we get exactly 1. Again, it comes in the modulus form, but it comes exactly 1. So that is why unitary elastic demand, that we get exactly 1. 2 axis, on x-axis demand I have taken, on y-axis price of the commodity, it is there. Now here, proportionate change in price, that is 5% there is decrease, and because of that in the same proportion there is increase, that is plus 5%. So this we show it on the diagram. Here you can see, say here price I have given point P, and on demand here I have given point M. Now this, if I draw the line, now which price it is reduced by 5%, say from P to P1, and in the same proportion, that is 5%, there is increase in the demand. So exactly what proportion here? Same proportion will be in this, which point M1. Now when you join this, now these 2 points, when you join, we get demand curve, and we give the name, that is DD. Now here you can see in what proportion there is decrease in the price, in the same proportion there is increase in the demand, that is from point M to M1. That is why here in unitary elastic demand we get demand curve this way. So always remember, unitary elastic demand, we get price elasticity, that is always 1. Fourth type, that is relatively elastic demand, where price elasticity is greater than 1. When percentage change in demand is proportionately more than the percentage change in price, then such type of demand is called relatively elastic demand. See, here I have taken example where there is 10% rise in the price, and because of which there is decrease in the demand, that is 30%. So here this 10% we write positive, and 30% because of decrease in demand, so minus. Now when you divide this, we get 3. Now this comes in the modulus form, that is 3. Non-negative value. Now this only we show it here on this diagram. As usual, demand I have taken on x-axis, price of the commodity I have taken on y-axis. Now see, here is the price and here is the demand that time when point P and point M, this is your demand. So if I join this, we get this weather. Now, as here price increases from P to P1, okay, that is 10%, say example. Obviously, demand reduces. Now this demand, it is here, which is M1. Now in this, when you join this, how we get? Now we get this demand curve, we call it DD. And see in what proportion this price it has increased and in what proportion more than this should be. There is decrease in the demand. See, this is called relatively elastic demand. Say here 10%, so this is 30%, 3 times more. There is decrease in the demand. Opposite to this also can be there. What? That there is decrease in the demand and because of which demand increases. So that also can be there. Important is that this should be more. Demand should be more than the price. Then this is called relatively elastic demand. Last type, relatively inelastic demand, where price elasticity is less than 1. When percentage change in demand is proportionately lesser than percentage change in price, then such demand is called relatively inelastic demand. Say example that there is increase in the price, that is 20%, and because of which there is decrease in the demand, that is 5%, so will be minus 5. So this comes 1/4 or 0.25. Again this will be in the modulus form. So this 0.25, which is less than 1. Now this is known as relatively inelastic demand. Let us draw a diagram. Now see here, if I take original price, say example this is P, and that place your demand, that is say example here M. So this, when you join the line, we get this way. Now in this example only which we discussed, that price increases say by 20%, because positive sign is there, so there is increase in the price by 20%. That means if I show it, say example this is P1, and because of which there is decrease in the demand, that is 5%. So here I take it M1. So now when we join this, what way we get? So here you can see, now the way we get demand curve, this way. Now here you can see what increase is there in the price and what decrease is there in demand. This is more and this is less. So in that case, this is known as relatively inelastic demand, which is less than 1, that is 0.25. So here these are the 5 types of degrees of price elasticity of demand. Hope you have understood this. So this is an end of this session. See you in next session tomorrow. Thank you.